All right, so hopefully this time I get some good audio and video because I keep having technical issues today. Fun fact, I've actually recorded this, I think now, seven or eight times. I keep having issues. My chair keeps letting down and it's driving me crazy. But also, I just went and saw Venom tonight. And I want to say it wasn't as bad as what the critics were making it out to be. It wasn't perfect, but I really enjoyed it. And if you go see it, as always with superhero movies, make sure you stay to the end. There's always a little nugget in there. So, I also want to mention that if you came to see my crash video, you might as well start watching because I don't want you to feel clickbaited because there's no footage. My GoPro wasn't filming because I don't film on long interstate rides because I want my batteries to last, and also my DSLR. The little footage that I do have is from the beginning of the day up into the crash, and the last clip I ended up having to recover, which wasn't the actual crash video. I looked for it, but I don't want anybody to feel like I clickbaited them, but I don't have it. So, moving forward, what you're gonna see in this video, you're gonna see an edit that I did of the last little bit of footage that I have with me and James, because James was with me the day of the crash. The crash happened on October 6th, so that's a little over 2 weeks. And I'm also gonna show you guys pictures of the bike as it was when the accident report was done. And you're gonna see my helmet, my gloves, you're gonna see video of me actually in the hospital or the emergency room and everything, because I didn't technically make it out of this completely unscathed, as you can see. I'm also going to talk about insurance. I'm also going to talk about the fate of the barber as of right now, and also what I plan on doing going forward, and pretty much what I did wrong in a sense. So we're going to start off with the edit that I did, and as always, we're going to do it in Bicasso fashion. And for those of you that are new to the channel, I want to say thank you for subscribing. And for those of you that are watching this video, please subscribe so you can stay up to date on everything I got coming soon when I get better. And for those of you that have been subscribed for so long, I want to say thank you. I haven't gotten a chance to do a 5,000 subscriber video, but thank you for everybody that's been subscribed this long. And I'm going to try to keep this video, I'm going to try to keep it straight to the point. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with the edit.
Have a beautiful day. Not so good. A little insight.
Hey man.
Marijuana.
I need that bag.
It's right there.
It's right there.
Yeah, on your back.
No, it ain't right there, man. I need that.
Gone down.
Oh yeah, it is. It is pretty hot out here. Oh, gotta love a friend that has bags.
What?
That's the only reason we're friends.
So what are we doing today, James? Since you're back from Boise, Idaho, finally.
Stretching my legs since I've been confined in dry, hot, boring, flat, not in state.
Yes, folks, we're about to ride to Atlanta, Georgia to go to this motorcycle store called Moto Style.
Yeah.
Follow them on Instagram. And we decided to go check them out. We were gonna go to Cycle Gear, but we decided to make it a little interesting, so we're gonna go to Moto Style. Oh my God, I don't have my microphone hooked up.
Hello.
No, we're not starting over. We're good now. So yeah, we're gonna head to Moto Style online.
Do my homework.
Well, online. We're heading to Moto Style in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're gonna ride the bobber, and we got the orange peel. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
how to get gas. That's the one downside with riding with the Victory Magnum or any other touring bike with the bobber, because you gotta constantly keep filling the dang thing up. But we should be able to get, what do you think, about 150 miles out of this tank?
Yeah.
So we're gonna see if we can get about 120 on the Scott bobber before we have to fill up again. But no, we're gonna go ahead and hit the road. We got about, how many miles you think we got?
Huh?
So how many miles you think we got?
How many miles?
Yeah.
11,000.
11,000?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a lot of fill-ups.
So as the song said, it was a beautiful day, or have a beautiful day. Me and James were having a fantastic day. The day was perfect. We almost actually decided not to take that ride because we were actually going to go to Birmingham, but we decided to just go ahead and go to Atlanta. And we had this idea that we weren't going to rush. We had this idea that we were going to take the road and life as it threw at us. There was no hurry, and we were just going to take the day as it was, pretty much. So we decided to not wear our jackets, and we decided to take the interstate and just cruise along as cruisers do. So we decided to do that, and unfortunately I ended up having an accident where I ended up wrecking the bobber. So what exactly happened? So we were traveling down the interstate. James was on my left side. I was on his right. We were on the right side of the interstate lane, two lane. And right after you cross the Georgia, my camera's losing focus. Right after you pass the Georgia state line coming from Alabama on I-85 north, there is the Georgia Welcome Center at mile marker 1. So at mile marker 1, we're cruising, we're running about 70. 70 is the speed limit, and I know it sounds cliche, oh, they were doing the speed limit. No, we actually really were doing the speed limit. And like I said, we weren't rushing. We weren't in a hurry to go anywhere. We were actually allowing traffic to flow around us versus us flowing through traffic, trying to stay ahead of traffic and all that kind of stuff. And you could say, oh, well, you should always stay ahead of traffic, but that wasn't the MO that we had that day. The motive was just to enjoy the ride, everything about the ride, the wind in our helmets, the wind pushing against our arm, and everything about the entire ride that day was about the ride, right? And you can see in the little cuts that we had, the little edit that I did, that we were really enjoying that day. That's what it was about. But so we were pulling about 70, and the last thing I got on my camera was we were traveling about 68. So when it actually happened, so again, James was on my left, I was on the right. We hit this piece of roadway. Well, I hit this piece of roadway because I was on the right side. And the road was very, very, very chewed up, and there was no warning sign of this road being this way. Normally you'll see they have the little motorcycle sign on the traffic sign indicating that the road is uneven, or there's jagged edges, or something indicating that there's something going on with the road, or there's a construction sign or construction zone or something letting you know that there's an obstacle or eroded pathway ahead. Well, here there was nothing. So I'm riding this road as if nothing is wrong, and eventually I hit this piece of roadway, and I'm going to show you guys the picture here, but what you see is the roughest part of the road. But keep in mind that when I hit this piece of road, I was hitting the beginning of that road, kind of where the van is, or a little bit before that. And essentially what ended up happening, the bobber went into a tank slapper. And that's essentially where the bike kind of goes left and right very violently, essentially is appearing as if it's losing its balance, or where it's oscillating, where it's going to eventually fall over. So me trying to get control of this, which means me putting my hands on the handlebar and just letting the bike do its thing, so the bike will eventually find its equilibrium, find its balance. The bike ended up doing this, and I'm guessing when it got to that roughest part of the road, the bike pretty much went from a tank slapper into a death wobble, to the point where it threw me off of the bike at 70 miles an hour. So I was thrown from the bike at 70 miles an hour without my jacket, and I had my gloves on, which is right here. I have my Highway 21 trigger gloves. You can see they're kind of blowed out right here. Yeah, they're blowed out right there at the palm. And my other one held up pretty nicely as well. So these are the gloves I had on, my Highway 21 triggers. So I had these gloves on, and I had my helmet, and I was thrown from the bike, and I tumbled off of the interstate at 70 miles an hour. Luckily, I tumbled to the right of the interstate, so I tumbled off of the interstate. I was maybe tumbling for 2 or 3 seconds on the interstate. I don't remember, but I remember when this actually happened, when I felt the bike lose its equilibrium, I said, "Oh shit!" I remember saying, "I said, oh shit," and that's when the bike just went ridiculously. It just went berserk. It was almost like riding a bull. And being that the bobber already doesn't have a big, like a very supple seat to hold you in, eventually I was just thrown from the bike. I couldn't hold on. So I was thrown from the bike, and the bike eventually just kept going. The bike never touched the pavement. It was like the bike said, "Yo, I gotta go. I'm gonna drop you off here, but I gotta keep going." So the bike threw me off and kept going. So I eventually slow down. I lose more like speed and from tumbling, and I'm in the grass, and I get up looking around like, okay. I told myself, okay, Brandon, you're not dead. I was scratched up and everything, and I was like, okay, you're not dead. I'm not in the highway. Where the hell is James, and where's the bike? So I'm looking around, and I see that traffic is moving normally. Like, I'm expecting the bike to be thrown like all over the highway, spilled, like destroyed. I'm expecting nothing to be left of the bobber, but traffic was moving as if nothing had happened. So I'm still looking around. I finally turn around. I'm getting dizzy. I still had my helmet on, but my face shield is popped off. James is running over to me. And then finally I decided to sit down because I got dizzy. And then I pulled my gloves off, and I had like all of this right here on my palm was just purple. My fingers were all purple. Everything was swollen. Nothing was really hurting, but I had all these burns up my arm, all the way up to my shoulder, and on my shoulder blades because I had a tank top on. I know, yeah, I had a tank top on. It's like riding with shorts and sandals. So a lady stops, and the truck driver stops, and the truck driver gives me water, but unfortunately I couldn't drink the water, so he was nice enough to feed the water to me. But even though he probably won't see this, I want to say thank you to the truck driver that did that. He was really awesome, really nice person. He didn't have to do that, but he stopped and helped. And I was able to pull my helmet off after I realized, again, because I'm not gonna say again because I didn't say this, but I was very well in my right mind, even though I probably shouldn't have took my helmet off, but because something else could have been wrong. My neck could have been injured, or my back could have been injured, but I felt fine. My back felt fine, my neck felt fine. I didn't have any headaches or anything, so I took my helmet off. I was able to take it off and unbuckle it and take it off, and I kind of just threw it. I was like, ugh. Just threw my helmet, and that's how I was able to drink the water. But I wasn't concussed. I didn't have a contusion or anything. I didn't feel like I didn't feel lightheaded, but I did feel dizzy because I was rolling in a circle off of the interstate at 70 miles an hour. But after that, EMT was called. EMT came and got me. James followed me to the hospital, but the police wouldn't let James actually pick the bike up. Because James said that the bike looked like it was rideable. because what actually happened, when the accident actually happened, when it threw me off, the bike kept going up the interstate, and then it ended up falling. Kept going up the interstate. Luckily, it didn't hit anybody else. It kept going because initially James couldn't pull over because the bike, he was riding alongside the bike. So imagine him, this being James, and this is the bike. He's riding, after it threw me off, he's riding alongside the bike. Eventually the bike veers off. So he couldn't actually pull over because of the bike. Luckily it didn't hit him or anybody else, but eventually the bike veers off of the road, goes into some grass and goes through some bushes and falls over on his left side. But he said that the bike was rideable, but the police wouldn't let him pick the bike up. So the police do an accident report. And I get transported to the hospital, and James follows me on his bike to the hospital. And the lady stays back and does a police report. And the police take pictures of the bike as in the bushes, and they call the tow truck company, and the tow truck company came to get the bike. And I was told that I could get the bike that same day. So after that, I get to the hospital. And I get treated for my burns on my arm, or my road rash on my arms, and I get an X-ray on my left hand. They wouldn't do an X-ray on my right. I may get into that later. I don't know why they didn't do it, but anyway, they ended up telling me that the fingers here were sprained, my left fingers, and I was treated for my my road rash. So here are a few clips of me at the hospital as I'm getting treated for my road rash.
What's up, y'all? This is Bicasso. Had a bit of an accident on the interstate, headed to Motor Style, so didn't get a chance to finish the ride. Hit some crap in the road, and the bike threw me off. Bike kept going, 400 or 500 yards, I said.
Yeah.
We wrecked. Well, I wrecked going about 70 miles an hour without my jacket. I had my helmet, of course, and my gloves, but I'm here. A little beat up, but I'm recording this because I want y'all to see it. And I can walk. I'm alive, and yeah. But the bike is okay because the bike is more important than me. But
Absolutely.
not really. But the bike is okay. I think you said the bike fell over.
Yeah, it just rolled to the bushes,
Yeah,
and
so
when it hit a hill, it just laid down.
I don't think I did anything wrong. James was in the left side of the lane. I was in the right. The bike went up. Like you see this is the tarmac. In between these two pieces of tarmac was an indention in the road that wasn't patched, and I hit it, and the bike whiskey like a tank slapper, and the bike threw me off. I tumbled. And got up, dizzy, sat down. That's it. Bike kept going. James followed the bike while it was ghost riding until it fell and hit.
How to make sure it didn't come to that road and get hit.
But I got Daisy Dukes on too.
Yeah, I mean, this shorts here is gonna be available for sale in case anybody wants some. You know, we can make it in one size bigger so you can wear it on top of your, your chaps or anything like that. So if you want it available, just hit us up or something.
Oh man, it sucks, y'all. But y'all wear your jackets. Wear your jackets. Show me my helmet. Look at that. Oh, my Cena's still on. I don't know if I'll be able to hold this, but oh, look at that. This thing saved my ass. God, this thing saved my ass. My Cena's still on there. It's still blinking. Oh, thank you, HJC. Ow. Oh, where are my gloves? They're over there somewhere. But my hands are swollen. Ow. It's a little swollen. My fingers are a little messed up. But I'm okay. I'm okay.
This is a shoe.
Huh?
I got a tetanus shot for you.
Oh, what?
Tetanus
A
shot.
tetanus shot.
Yeah, when you get road rash, you get a tetanus shot.
Oh, right then.
So it's good for 10 years, okay?
Okay.
So when you go back to the,
Because I guess, I'm gonna take the shots for metal and stuff.
Nah, not just for that. It's just for, well, yeah,
Bacteria
mostly
and
bacteria.
stuff.
And, well, look, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but yeah, I always thought it was for metal deposits or.
These fingers.
Squeeze your right hand, like you're grabbing. Yeah, so that's the only one you can squeeze.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna get a bunch of
Tomorrow.
flames in the comments, but we didn't think we needed our jackets, but you can clearly see I did need it. But I will be back. But gotta get better right now.
Let me see the hips of the doozy.
The what? Yeah, I'm good, people.
Well, I don't know. That's what people have been telling me all my life. That
Okay. So stop whining, man. Damn. All he's doing is put lotion on you.
Fine.
We're gonna tank slap it.
Like too soon, man. Too soon. Too soon. Too soon.
Alright.
So, they got me bandaged up, both arms. Got me taking a shot. Got some stuff on my fingers. My fingers are swollen and my palms swollen. But again, we're good. I got no reason to not smile. Should have had my jacket on. I know, stupid. That's why take me as an example as to why you wear gear. You know, especially when you're on the interstate. If you're riding in town, still put your jacket on. But we're comfortable in town. When you're riding long distances on roads you don't know as well, this definitely pays to have your jacket on. Like I always tell people, hey,
you
what's
ready
up?
to get out of here?
And as you guys can see, I'm pretty good and in high spirit. I mean, well, when I say good, considering I just wrecked my bike at 70 miles an hour, but seeing that I'm in high spirits and that I'm very alert and well aware of what's going on, so I'm not like, dazed or anything. But of course, the adrenaline is running very high right now. And also, they cut my pants. They cut my pants, y'all. Hold that thought. Y'all, they cut my pants. Like they turned my pants into look at these. Like these ain't jeans no more. These are Dukes, man. These are Daisy Dukes. They turned my pants into Daisy Dukes. And also hold that thought. This is my helmet. I want to show you guys my helmet while it's on my mind. Here's my helmet. So I never put the visor back on, but that is my helmet. That is my helmet, and there's the GoPro mount on the left side. So this helmet saved me. Like I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that helmet. And also here's the visor. This is the visor. That's my visor. So my visor popped off. The visor isn't broken. The impact, I think, I guess squeezed it and made it pop off, is what I'm guessing. But that helmet held up phenomenally well. And HJC saved my butt. I had no head injuries, no neck injuries, no back injuries. That helmet, that helmet did it. But so after my wounds were dressed and everything, the hospital pretty much kicked me out after less than an hour. They were like, all right, you're good, get out. That's pretty much what happened. They gave me a tetanus shot and everything, and that was pretty much it. So fast forward to Monday, I couldn't get the bike the same day that the accident happened. I had to come back to Georgia, pretty much from Alabama, to get the bike. So the crazy part is that when I picked the bike up, I noticed that there was a lot of damage to the bike, right, to the right side. And I asked James about that, and because James told me that the bike fell on the left side, so I was under the impression, we both were, that, oh, well, the bike's not that badly damaged. If it went down in the bushes and it fell over, he said that it fell over in front of a tree, but he didn't think that the bike actually hit the tree. And I was told that also by the tow truck guy. He said it almost hit a tree. But even if it did hit the tree, well, we'll get into that. But anyway, so I'm about to show you guys the pictures that I took when I went and got the bike from the tow company. So here's some of the pics. And as you can see, the bike has a lot of damage on the right side. And there's the exhaust is damaged. There's a baseball-sized dent in the fender. There's the headlight cowl's damaged. The handlebars are bent. The fender is scratched. And I think the forks were damaged too. So the tank actually came out where it didn't really have any damage. So I was thinking to myself, well, if the bike fell over on the left side, how the heck did all the damage get on the right? Well, What I suspected is that the tow truck guy actually damaged the bike. Now, to reinforce this idea, the police again took accident pictures and showed that actually showed the bike as it was laying down in the bushes. And what I want you guys to see, let me find the picture, hold on, bear with me. What I want you guys to see is the exhaust as it was laying down. Which one is it? And I'm not the one that likes to accuse people without having concrete evidence, but it is very fishy to me that the bike, that it just doesn't match up. So this picture is actually, I hope you guys can see this. This picture right here is the picture, come on focus, dang it. This is the picture that was taken of the bike as it was in the ditch. And as you can see right here, this is the exhaust. And there's no damage to the exhaust in that picture. And you see down right here, there's also no damage to the exhaust in that picture, which means that, again, the bike fell over on its left side. Now, I'm going to put the picture back up again of the bike after I took the picture of it at the tow company. But here's another picture of the exhaust also. I don't know if that's the same picture or not. It could be. But you can see the exhaust is pretty much unscathed right there. That's pretty much it. It's pretty much unscathed. No damage. But this picture right here shows that there's a long metal gash, like a metal, like the bike fell on its right side and was actually like drug or slid on something also very abrasive, not bushes. So I also noticed that the right mirror had some damage to it. And come to find out, the tow truck guy actually charged me $50 for a winch. So between the police taking the pictures for the accident report showing there was no damage to the exhaust, when I took the pictures at the tow truck company, there was damage to the exhaust, which gives me reason to believe that the tow truck guy actually dragged the bike out of the bushes, didn't even attempt to pick the bike up or do anything with the bike. I guess you could say it's not his job to, but however, I feel like if a bike is still functional, it shouldn't be just dragged out or, you know, or I guess handled the way that I felt that it was handled. But anyway, between the pictures and what I took at the tow company, the exhaust was damaged. And I couldn't seem to figure out how my front fender got damaged, but the back fender had scratches on it, which you could say that, you know, running through bushes that trees could have scratched it, but the front fender had a baseball size dent in it. And the funny thing is that dent actually pushed so far down on the tire that it made the tire hard to turn on its own. So we ended up having to loosen up the front fender just to get the wheel to freely turn to get it on the trailer. And we tried to pry that fender because we was like, well, shoot, it's already damaged. We might as well just try to pry it. And the crazy part is we couldn't even bend that with a crowbar. So we applied force to it and barely could get it to bend. So it makes me wonder, would a tree even do that with that barber's tire being so wide or so long, or at least the distance between the tip of the tire and the fender is such a good distance that even if the bike did run smack dab into a tree, the tip of the fender would have been damaged and the tip of the fender wasn't damaged. So somehow or something crushed that fender with some crazy amount of pressure or force. And I felt like it also did that to the left side of the headlight. So we got left side of the headlight cowl damaged with the dent. And we also got the right side of the front fender damaged. So I don't know how, even if it ran into a tree, I don't know how both sides of that even got damaged. And also the handlebars were bent, but I don't think that if the bike kind of went down into some grass and fell over that it would have bent the handlebars the way that it did. So I'm going to rule that some of that damage, if not the majority of it, was done by the tow truck guy. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now. So as far as the insurance goes, the biggest thing for me with insurance is that I don't want my insurance involved in anything that I have because I don't want my insurance rates to go up. So when this initially happened, I was deciding whether or not to do an insurance claim because, again, I don't want my insurance company involved. I don't want my rates to go up because that determines, my insurance rates and how I'm going to go about with my next purchases. So when the accident happened, I was thinking to myself, well, being that the bike seems to be just cosmetic damage, I could just fix the bike myself. I priced the parts. They were about $1,500. And that didn't rule out that anything internal was done. So it seems that the back fender is scratched, the exhaust tip is scratched, the front fender is dented, the headlight cowl is dented, the handlebars are damaged, and along with the cluster, the control cluster and the mirror, this little stuff. Some of that stuff I would debate whether or not I would change out, but I think it came out to around $1,500 to $2,000 as far as the damage goes. Now, what I ended up doing is deciding to go ahead and get my insurance company to fix the bike. And the reason for that is because once the wreck actually happened and once the police were called, the police are going to want to do an accident report. So when that accident report is actually done, that actually goes on my driving record. So when the insurance company decides to run my record at some point anyway, when it's time to re-up for insurance, or if I change insurance companies, they're going to see the accident on there and my rates are going to go up anyway. I'm going to have to legally report that on my insurance. So because of that, I ultimately decided to just go ahead and get my insurance company to do it. But as much as I wanted to do the bobber build myself, I wanted to be able to just buy the parts and put them on myself. I know that would have made for a really cool, mini series, trying to get the bobber back to rideable condition. Financially, it didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense to waste not doing my insurance claim when I pay them for that reason. And also I had medical injuries, which I had to account for as well. So it made sense for me to do it that way. And I also explored the avenue of trying to get the insurance company to cut me the check so I could do it myself. But being that my bike has a lien on it, I can't do that. If you don't know what a lien is, that's when you finance a bike and your bank owns the bike. So the check would have to be either cut to me and the bank or me and the shop. So being that banks are kind of hard to get a hold with, we're getting them to sign checks and stuff like that. We're going to, most people go with getting the check in their name and the shop, and you pay your deductible to the shop. So that is the option that I did. So when I recorded the last video that actually showed the bike on the trailer, the bike was actually being transported to Big Number One dealership where I can get the bike fixed. So as of right now, the bike is sitting at the dealership waiting to get a wreck estimate done, and they won't get a chance to look at that till around November. And that is when the insurance adjuster will decide whether or not the bike is going to be totaled. But as of right now, it seems that the bike won't be totaled, which is good news because I don't want the bike totaled. I really want to keep my bobber. I like that bike a lot. And so far, it seems that the bike could be fixed before December. So we're going to just see how it plays out. But it's looking good for the bobber so far. Hopefully, after the dealership tears the bike down and, determines that hopefully there's no internal damage to the forks and it's just coverings that can be replaced, then we'll be good to go. But as far as that, even if we were to get the bike back soon, there is the issue still of my hands. So when I actually went to the emergency room and they told me that my hand was sprained, I was having a lot of issues with this finger. So I could bend these, but I couldn't bend them all the way down like that. I could get them maybe to about right there. And I was kind of concerned because this one wouldn't go but like this far. So what I ended up doing, I went to a urgency care doctor and got an x-ray done. And that's when they told me that this finger was actually broken. So they told me the finger was broken, and I was like, well, shit, might as well, let's go ahead and get this one examined again too. And come to find out, this one was also broken, and so was my pinky. So instead of me having 2 sprained fingers, I ended up coming out with 3 broken fingers. And I found that out a week after the accident. So I was using my hands as if nothing was wrong, but I was told that my fingers were sprained, and they were actually broken. So I ended up going to a doctor's appointment today, and I was told that my hands are looking good. I just need to not mess with them too much and just let them heal. And hopefully I'll be able to get all of my movement back in them. But everything's looking good so far. But it's really a process. But as far as me not having my jacket on and everything, I'm going to get some comments on that because I'm a big advocate for wearing your gear. And at the time I didn't have my gear on, but you can see that I at least took my jacket, but there's no good for it sitting in the saddlebag if I'm not wearing it. If I'm, you know, getting road rash and everything, because I gotta admit, guys, ugh, this stuff sucks. It sucks bad. So I didn't have my jacket on, and that day I was definitely a hypocrite because I didn't have my jacket on. And my excuse was that it was hot, but that's no excuse not to wear your gear. So look at me as an example of being a hypocrite and being a squid, and this is the result of you not wearing your gear. So for all of you that are looking to ride and are doing riding stuff, just know that gear matters. Having your gear on matters a lot. And also I want to mention this before it slips my mind. The bobber did nothing wrong. I don't want people to think that, oh, the bobber is a death trap or something like that and my bike was defective. No, the bike didn't do anything wrong. This was just a really bad piece of road that I think the state of Georgia really needs to fix. And I felt like if that piece of road was not there, I would not have had my accident. I've hit plenty of bumps on the bobber and had no issues. And I've even hit bumps to where I was bounced off of the seat of the bobber and I did not have an accident. So for me, I feel like it was not the bobber's fault. I just feel like this was like the worst piece of road that would have thrown even some of the best suspension systems off. Like I just think that it was just a bad piece of road. So don't think that the bobber was at fault. But I do again want to say that I'm glad that I at least had my helmet on. I wasn't in like Florida somewhere around without my helmet. But even though I didn't have my jacket on, even if I had my jacket on and went down, let's say I did go down with my jacket on, I still would have probably broke my fingers because of the way that I ended up wrecking the bike. But I can say that I'm lucky to be here. I don't want to take any of that away from anybody or make people think that I'm not being grateful. Trust me, I know to walk away with just road rash and some broken fingers at 70 miles an hour on the interstate and no jacket is freaking incredible. And I'm very blessed and lucky and all of that just to be able to be here and be an example. Be able to tell you guys that don't ride in uncharted territory on interstates and with so much that could go wrong and not be prepared for it. Because as they always say, it is a matter of when it happens, not if it happens. Something's going to happen. It may not be an accident. It could be just a bird hit you in the head while you're riding and throw you off, or you might blow a tire, a rock might hit you in the helmet and chip your helmet, and that day you might have had a half shell on, or your helmet might fly off while you're riding. You never know. Something eventually is going to happen. You can't account for every single variable in a situation. All you can do is focus on what's in your control and just take it as it is, you know. So again, I did that day. I never dropped a smile other than when my wounds were bothering me, but I still tried to push through as much as I could even then, because I knew that I was incredibly lucky. Because being handicapped for these, mildly handicapped, I say mildly handicapped, even for these 2 weeks has been an incredible challenge, and I couldn't have done it without my friends and family. Having them changing my bandages and dealing with me, like, y'all, showering. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Showering with 6 fingers is not easy. It ain't. You can't clean everything with 6. You can't. It's tough. I must say, it's very tough. But I've been pushing through. I've gone back to work. Been at work for about almost 2 weeks now. So right, 2 weeks. Let me see. Yeah, almost 2. Yeah, I've been back at work almost 2 weeks. So just taking it one step at a time. That's why I didn't want to rush this video. I wanted to make sure I got everything squared away. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I wanted to make sure that I could let everybody know that Bicasso is here. The barber's gonna be okay, and I got a few scars, but I got a story to tell everybody, and I feel like I'm gonna come out of this a lot more wiser because of the accident. So again, for those of you that are watching, now you see what happens when you don't wear your gear. It could be so much worse. You could end up dead like I could have been. And I'm just thankful that I'm able to sit here and tell you guys the story and be able to share the experience. So I'm not going to keep you guys, but if you liked it, or, well, never mind. This is probably a bad time to hit the subscribe plug. But just be on the lookout. I'm not finished. It's gonna take some regrouping. It's gonna take some rebuilding. The channel is steady growing, and I'm glad that we hit 5,000 subscribers. That's just crazy to me that we got 5,000 people. And I felt like the videos were getting good. I felt like we finally found that sweet spot of where of what Bicasso is, right? Of what Brandon Bicasso is, trying to find the beauty in every single aspect of riding, from that little moment with another friend or another rider, or that moment with being in traffic and being in the wind. So there's so many different elements of riding that I felt like I began to capture and let my creativity run with it. And I just can't wait to get back on the saddle and let it run some more. So until next time, guys, I'm signing off for a little bit, but rest assured that I will return. So see y'all then.